Lady Gaga's journey through the glittering yet often treacherous landscape of Hollywood stardom has always been marked by raw vulnerability, unfiltered emotion, and an unyielding commitment to authenticity. But beneath the layers of sequins, spotlights, and sold-out arenas lies a story of profound personal struggle, one that came to a head during the grueling production of her transformative 2018 film, A Star is Born. In a candid revelation that peels back the facade of celebrity invincibility, Gaga disclosed that she was hospitalized for psychiatric care amid the chaos of filming the movie and preparing for her expansive Joanne World Tour in 2017. This wasn't just a fleeting moment of exhaustion, it was a seismic crash that forced her to confront the fragility of her mental well-being head-on, ultimately reshaping her understanding of resilience and self-preservation. Picture this. The year is 2017 and Stefani Germanotta, better known to the world as Lady Gaga, is at the peak of her creative zenith. She's not only stepping into the role of ally, a burgeoning singer-songwriter whose voice and spirit ignite a faded rock star's flame, but she's also channeling her own life symphony of triumphs and turmoils into every note and scene. Directed by and co-starring Bradley Cooper, A Star is Born was more than a musical drama. It was a mirror reflecting Gaga's own ascent from a New York club kid to a global icon, fraught with the intoxicating highs of fame and the devastating lows of isolation. Yet, as the cameras rolled and the rehearsals intensified, Gaga was silently grappling with a storm within. She later confided that she had been prescribed lithium, a mood stabilizer often used to manage bipolar disorder, during this period, a detail that underscores the severity of her internal battle. Lithium, with its potential side effects of emotional numbing and physical tremors, became both a lifeline and a reminder of how far she had strayed from equilibrium. The breaking point arrived not with a dramatic on-set meltdown, but in the quiet, piercing words of her sister. "I don't see my sister anymore." Those words echoed, a gut-wrenching indictment of how Gaga's immersion in her roles, both fictional and real, had eroded her sense of self. The pressure was multifaceted. The emotional depth required to portray Ally's vulnerability, the physical demands of belting out power ballads like Shallow Night After Night, and the relentless schedule of tour preparations that loomed like a shadow. Gaga, ever the perfectionist, pushed herself to the brink, canceling her Joanne World Tour in a move that stunned fans and industry insiders alike. It was a decision born not of caprice but of necessity, a desperate bid to reclaim the fragments of her identity that fame had scattered. One particularly harrowing day stands out in her recollection, a trip to the hospital for psychiatric care that felt like surrendering to an invisible enemy. "I couldn't do anything. I completely crashed," she described, her voice in interviews carrying the weight of that memory. The sensation of total shutdown was terrifying, a void where creativity once flourished, replaced by an overwhelming sense of helplessness. Gaga likened it to a blackout, where the vibrant hues of her artistic world faded to gray, and the simple act of existing became an insurmountable task. "It was really scary," she admitted, emphasizing the existential dread that accompanies such episodes. In those moments, the specter of permanence loomed large. There were times when she genuinely doubted her capacity to recover, to rise from the ashes like the phoenix her music so often invokes. This crash wasn't isolated to A Star is Born. Gaga's narrative weaves a tapestry of mental health challenges that have punctuated her career, each thread pulling tighter during periods of intense professional scrutiny. Take, for instance, her experience on the set of 2021's House of Gucci, where she embodied the fierce Patrizia Reggiani with a ferocity that blurred the lines between performance and persona. "I don't think I was doing very well during that film. At all," she reflected, hinting at a recurrence of the same shadows that had haunted her years prior. The role demanded a descent into obsession and betrayal, emotions that resonated too closely with her own brushes with public scrutiny and personal betrayals. Filming in the opulent yet claustrophobic world of Italian high society amplified her unease, turning the creative process into a psychological tightrope walk. It was as if the characters she inhabited began to inhabit her, their turmoil seeping into her psyche until the boundaries dissolved. Yet, from these depths, Gaga emerged not unscathed, but profoundly transformed. The psychiatric intervention during the A Star is Born era proved to be a turning point, a circuit breaker that halted the spiral and allowed for recalibration. Hospitalization, often stigmatized in the entertainment world, became for her a sanctuary, a place to dismantle the armor she wore for the public and rebuild from the ground up. Therapy sessions, medication adjustments, and the unwavering support of her inner circle became the scaffolding for her recovery. She credits this intervention with not only saving her career but her life itself. The film's success, garnering her a Grammy for Best Original Song and an Oscar nod, served as a bittersweet validation, a reminder that vulnerability could be a superpower rather than a weakness. "I feel really lucky to be alive," Gaga stated with a gravity that belies her dramatic flair. "I know that might sound dramatic, but we know how this can go." Her words serve as a sobering nod to the darker statistics surrounding mental health in the industry, the untold stories of those who didn't make it through the night, the silent epidemics of depression and substance abuse masked by smiles for the cameras. Gaga's openness is a deliberate act of defiance against that silence, a beacon for the millions who navigate similar terrains. By sharing her story, she humanizes the icon, stripping away the myth of the unbreakable diva to reveal a woman who, like Ally in the film, finds strength in her scars. Central to her healing has been the profound influence of love, not the performative kind splashed across tabloids, but the quiet, steadfast kind that sees beyond the glamour. Enter Michael Polanski, her fiancé since 2019, whose presence in her life marked a paradigm shift. Dating him, Gaga explained, was the antidote to years of feeling like an outsider in her own narrative. "Being in love with someone that cares about the real me made a very big difference," she shared, her tone softening with gratitude. Michael, a tech entrepreneur with a grounded demeanor, entered her world at a time when she was reevaluating what it meant to be seen. He didn't chase the spotlight. Instead, he illuminated the parts of her that had dimmed, the Stefani who loved fiercely, laughed unguardedly, and dreamed without the weight of expectation.